But the one more thing I want to say that popped into my mind about the whole like buying more aggressively thing, it coming back to my original thing I was saying about how they didn't break up the team. That's actually a pretty bold and aggressive move when you think about the rational thing to do might well have been to sell. And and I understand that the Mets have been on this great run and they've got a 50% or so chance to make the playoffs now, but they could have vastly improved their farm system in one day by moving their pitching. When guys like Trevor Rogers are getting good prospects from Baltimore, they could have cashed in on Jose Quintana, let alone Severino. I called David Stearns yesterday morning and said, "Did you ever get to a point where you were tempted to do that? Man, the way this is going, you really could have really cashed in." And he was like, "Fair question, but no. Once we got to this week, we think we're a playoff caliber team, and we were not considering trading any starting pitching." I agree with his decision. It would have been a crushing blow to morale, and I think there's really something to be said for playing meaningful games in August and September, even if it's to lose a wild card series or however that ends with where the Mets are at, trying to build a winning culture. But again, when I look at like you should have got a Snell, you should have got a Flaherty, whatever, I think like maybe you should have sold, but good for you for not, because you only live once, and it's been a better than expected season. There's definitely like a fine line that has to be struck because I talk about rationality and efficiency, and there's way too much of that in the game. We've talked, we agree on that.
Yeah, yeah.
This idea sometimes GMs collect prospects and sell the future, and it almost feels like a way. I mean, to be too cynical, but just to tell your owner, hey, the future's bright. Don't worry about what you're seeing on the major league field, and to do the same thing on your fans. It's almost a scam sometimes. It's like, come on, try to win the World Series. I get it. I get it. I just think that some of the things that San Diego's done are so far and above that it's like, whoa. And that, but 100%, I appreciate that he's trying to win it. What I've learned about Stearns so far is that he's got that in him. I think. I know we haven't seen him flex that yet, but we had Billy Eppler in the studio for many days in a row. He was great. One interesting contrast, and Billy would absolutely agree with this if he were here, so I'm comfortable saying it, is Billy, coming from a scouting background, is really probabilistic. He's looking at models, he's looking at probabilities, and that's how he really likes to make his decisions. Stearns, he's Harvard, he's got the quarter zip, he's got all the makings of a math GM. But he's actually more subjective than Billy in some ways. And I think we're going to find, I just see this from being around him. Again, Billy wouldn't disagree with that. Stearns is a little more emotion, and I think there's going to be times when he's like, this free agent contract makes no sense, but I'm going to do it anyway. This trade makes no sense, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think he's got that in him, and he's somewhere in the middle of that. If Eppler's on one side and Preller's on the other, I actually think Stearns is going to prove himself over the years to be more in the middle.